welcome back. I decided today to talk about our fast paced culture and how to take little things to be able to kind of slow down within our own daily living. So, with that being said, let's jump into it and start with what we're grateful for. I am grateful for this past week being social. I did post on my personal Instagram how Sundays are our most social time after church and visiting extended family. There is always a sense of rest, I think, within that because we don't get to do it throughout the week. Yet it can get tiring too. And so I am just grateful that we have the community to be able to do that. I give you a few moments and think of something you are grateful for this week. Alrighty. So here are just a list of things that came to mind when thinking of a way to slow down. First, if you don't know what fast pace is, I'm going to explain it to you. What kind of culture I'm trying to counter, if that makes sense. Fast pace, I believe, equals anxiousness. It's relaxing and resting is just non-existent, and you fall into the trap of becoming overstimulated and restless. So all those lead into a lot of mental health issues. The three that I can recall with the mental health is not getting enough rest, stressing all the time, worrying, and not being active, meaning getting outside. And so I know COVID did a great deal of all of those things. So getting back into the workflow, whether you're stay-at-home mom, you go out to work, drive, there's all sorts of challenges just within those things. And so these little ideas that I have for you to try to find your own rhythm with, I believe can help big time, because I try to incorporate one at least every day, if not more than one. And it is not easy by any means at all. And so the first one, a very obvious one for me, prayer. Right now, I am attempting to get up before my daughter. That has been a struggle, and I didn't know why at first. And it is because I go to sleep at a not so great time, and that will in return lead me to a lot of health issues. So working on that. So in order to wake up at a decent time, I need to go to sleep at a decent time. Second thing is the healthy foods that I eat or want to eat. All that junk, hot Cheetos. I mean, I grew up on it, but at school there was all sorts of junk, and I have such a sweet tooth. I'm actually fighting a big um sugar addiction currently, and that is very hard just because I found it as a comfort when I just didn't have the words to express myself, which is really hard because I enjoy writing and I enjoy talking. So if I get to that point where I can't express myself wordily, I turn to sugar. So I'm on day one of cutting it out like cold turkey as of right now, and not to say fruits like all sugar, just the artificial sugars. Anyway, prayer is one, for a big one for me. right before getting on to record, I sat down, took some breaths, was worrying a lot about some news that came out about banks. Did my research, just wanted to be aware of what was going on. And I was like, no, this is not happening. This is not going to distract me from what I need to do. And so sat down, called my mom because I just felt like I needed someone to pray with me, and pulled out a rosary and did a full rosary together. And the immense peace I felt after, I cannot express to you how much prayer is just so important. And the very presence of God within that prayer is beyond my understanding. And so that's one thing. Picking up a little routine in the mornings right before the baby wakes up to kind of ground myself is definitely one. Prayer and affirmations. I'm a big on affirmations. I've only done it for, I want to say 2 months at least, or a little more. Definitely 2 months. At first, I thought it was very self-centered. And then I started seeing how it is incorporated in our identity. If I can say I am a daughter of God, and obviously give him the honor in that, but acknowledge that he gave me this identity, and he gave me a mission, and he gave me a purpose to be able to bring people to him, then these affirmations, in a sense, are that same way of saying, I am this, I am that, speaking positivity into my life, which then you see your life kind of flowing positively. I'm not saying the challenges aren't as hard or harder and you just want to scream and be negative and all that. And so prayer and affirmations I have really grown into just really enjoying. Prayer is obviously a lot higher to me than affirmations. So if you can get prayer down, amazing. Again, the way I have picked up prayer in the past is journaling, going to adoration, sitting with Jesus within that very presence, and just kind of giving him my heart. And so there's many ways to pray, and I hope to record a podcast on just all the types of different prayers that there are, which is amazing to me. And so, yeah. Anyways, moving on to the other ideas that I have for you is screen time. That is definitely extremely hard. I know the screen got introduced to me, I believe it was definitely after 5th grade. I want to say middle school. The actual touch screen. Because I had phones before that, but there was no touch screen that I owned. And so the screen was something new and basically something that I had for I want to say half of my life now, but I could be wrong. I'm 25 now. I would say the screen came about 14 or even younger than that. So I get it. If you're my age, or even people that didn't have screens before that now have screens, it is so addicting because it's a lot of information at your fingertips, a lot of news at your fingertips, a lot of now at your fingertips, keeping up with people. It has definitely changed the way we are in community and the way we get our news and everything under the sun. And so putting away that little powerful computer is something that is really, really needed. And I want to talk because I have that issue at night to just put away the phone. Of within the last 3 to 4 months, or even half a year, I have told my husband that we need to put our phones on the dresser before we go to bed. They are not allowed in bed whatsoever. And that becomes hard because we work all day and we don't use the screen for leisure. So that's another boundary of, do we really need the phone for leisure, or are there other things that provide that leisure? The phone doesn't just have to be leisure. And so screen time, I definitely would recommend you set away the phone or computer, TV, all the screens possible. I have a feeling that our vision and our heads are gonna hurt at such a young age. I would say maybe like coming 40s. So we want to minimize it as best as we can, and it also plays a role in our sleep and the very fact that we just can't sleep. So that's the second one. Third one, another obvious one to me, is going outside. And again, these things are very hard for me to achieve, and so I am providing that for you so that you are able to find a way to do these for a healthier life, because I definitely want to do these. So going outside, whether that is pulling your kids on a wagon or going for a little jog, and we have become a society of very fearful people. We do not tolerate pain very well, and we get scared super easy. Our mental health awareness has gone past a level of unhealthy to me. And so I believe that we need to reel it back, discuss the mental health issues, but also provide solutions and not be okay that we have these mental health issues, right? And so providing the solution, going outside also does wonders. We went to the park today with my daughter for 40 minutes. 40 minutes passed by very quickly, and there's just freshness. There is not a sense of entrapment within the home. The home can become an entrapment piece in your life if you don't set foot outside. And so anyways, that's number 3. Number 4, talked about it already, sleep. Sleep is majorly important because, one, I think many of you may know this, you need it to regenerate cells, right? And so you aren't giving your body enough time or energy to do that when you're in light sleep or you go to sleep 1-2 in the morning. And so getting the right amount of sleep, depending on women or men, I would say do your research on that. I am good, I think 7 hours minimum. I have to have at least 7 hours to be okay. I would say that I'm trying to break out of being tired, quote unquote, because I'm not. 7 hours is good. The next one is healthy foods. Like I said earlier as well, I am fighting a sugar addiction, which I never thought I ever had. And so being able to share that with y'all is very vulnerable for me, because addiction is a very strong word. When you think addiction, you think sex, drugs, anything just really big. And so any addiction is just bad, even if it being sugar. It's abusing it. It is overusing it. It is really bad. And so I'm shifting into the healthy foods. I think I always had the mental for it. I just don't believe that I knew why I kept failing. And that's that sugar aspect that I always felt I needed to process my mental stability. And so, healthy foods is very, very, very important. All of these are, promise. But incorporating them little by little, making the shift, making the change, you start seeing progress in your life. So, the next one, talked about it on this podcast before, is setting boundaries. Once you can start setting boundaries, there's a mental shift that what you say matters. Your mental health matters. You as a person matter in that space. Whether people respect those boundaries or don't, that isn't your problem. That is out of your control. And you can't tell them you should be acting this way, because that would go against free will, right? And so setting those boundaries, being being unapologetic about it, but also taking in consideration how you went about it in that kind manner. You're not saying, no, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings, let me take it back. But being open to discussion of why that might have hurt the person. It just depends on the relationship, on the people. Next one is finding hobbies, whether that is coloring. I love to color when I have the time. I have a little coloring book, my colors, very peaceful. Do a little leaf if I get the chance to. I've picked up sewing, little patterns of here and there sort. I want to pick up sewing clothes, sewing my own dresses. Again, hobbies are also hard if you're active parent in your children's life. It can be hard. It's a lot of sacrificing for your child, which is beautiful in itself. Finding those little window spaces of what's priority and what's going to help you makes a big difference of how you parent and your temper and how you emotionally take things as well. Next one is education and awareness. I don't think I stepped into this until I became a mom. I always had a curious mind of learning. I think we all do. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I've always enjoyed it. But it didn't matter to me, the awareness, until I became a parent. I don't know if this hit any of y'all this way. It really did for me. The awareness aspect kind of just flopped. Everything kind of started becoming clear to me, and I understood more of what I stood for and how my morals are just grounded within my faith. And yeah, it's crazy, that education and awareness. If you don't educate yourself and do your own research and just follow what everyone is saying and doing, you aren't using your God-given gift of a brain. Okay, use it, please. And then the last one is what we always do in the beginning of this podcast, which is gratitude. Gratitude does wonders just as much as affirmations do. Being grateful at the end of the day, even one thing each day, something that my child did today at the park. She was climbing these little steps, and there's handles that you grab onto. I don't know if you can imagine this. She was trying to figure out how to grab and step on. And then as soon as she would get on, she'd get back off, but use the handle to get back off. And she just kept doing that. It was so cute because her mind is just exploring and figuring out problems for a 1-year-old. How do I get up here? How do I get down? Oh, okay, I can do it. I can get up there and I can get down now. Wonderful example of what we need to be doing in order to solve a lot of our issues. Again, as grown-ups, our issues are a lot more escalated, but it's just a perfect example of how to surrender what is out of our control. With all that being said, I hope that you can take away some of these things to slow down. An anxious mind will not do you good physically, mentally, or spiritually. It actually pushes you away spiritually. I didn't know if you knew that. I read it. I'm not going to be able to remember right now. I read it probably a week ago that anxiousness, worriness, and that's why Padre Pio said, pray and don't worry. It pushes you, in a sense, away. Not that your relationship is done for with God. It kind of puts this sense of, I don't need you, I'm going to worry about it, these are my issues, you can't do anything about it. That's basically what happens when we worry. Now, there's a natural sense of worry, initial worry, and you kind of just process it, but not overly do it. Kind of the same thing when it comes to all emotions. If you were to overly get angry, you can hurt someone. If you overly fall into a pit of despair and wallow in your sadness and allow it to overtake you, you end up depressed. And so there's healthy ways to manage these emotions and talking about them and journaling about it. Journaling's a big thing. I believe that you're going to hear that a lot on this podcast because journaling has been so active in my life. Like, I believe that has been in my life all my life. That is the way, a little tunnel of the way I was able to talk to God when I was younger, even to this day. So, getting out of these mental issues, I've always been a firm believer in the solutions. There's always going to be a solution, whether we humanly are able to figure out that solution or it's a mystery and therefore God has the solution. Those are the two things that come to mind when people are like, well, you can't solve everything. No, I can't. I definitely can't. I will never solve all the world's problems. So in what I can, with the God-given gift that I was given of a brain, and then what I can't is surrendered over to God. That's simple. Now, I can say it simply. Practicing it makes it that simple, peaceful way. Obviously not at first. Like all things, they need to be practiced. So to give you the little rundown, little list again of everything that we talked about. Prayer, love that one. Screen time, get off the screen. Hobbies, find at least one hobby that you can stick to once a week. Gratitude, practice it every single day. Education and awareness, always keep account what is going on. Not overly. Again, too much of it can put you in a state of anxiousness and depression. Going outside, you can try that once a week. I would give you a sense of realistic goals to be able to do these. I wouldn't say do these things every day. Yes, they're all good for you, but eventually you'll get there to where you can do them every day. Sleep. Find a decent time to go to sleep. Whether, let's say you go to sleep at 10, try to cut it back an hour. Start getting ready around 8:30. Maybe you're already drifting off at 9:30. Drink a tea. Big person on teas as well. Chamomile, lavender, always lights out for me. Healthy foods. Start small again. Doing the big haul, there's always going to be a setback in that. Setting boundaries. Know what you want. And that's where education and awareness comes in for the setting of boundaries. And so those are some little tips on ways that we can slow down. And once we learn to slow down, we can teach that to our community and to the people that surround us. It will shine once you figure out a rhythm of how to slow down and not feel as though you're always having to do something. Last thing, I did put on my post, the fast pace to us is a sense of productiveness. If you're not doing something, that means you're lazy. At least culturally, I have felt that. If you're just lounging around, you're lazy. And so there's a time and a place for leisure and relaxation, and there's a time for work. Sometimes you're going to be in a season of we need to grind it out, and that rest will come. For us, it happens almost every Sunday. Even if my husband has to work a little after, there's always an hour, and that's where gratitude comes in to play. Thank you, God, I got an hour, of being able to rest on this Sunday with my family. Now it's grind time of what he was called to. And so I hope that these are taken very serious, because as a society, we have not helped really focus in on the person and their health. And so with that being said, I hope that you'll have a wonderful week. And I announced last week that I am starting coaching calls. So as of right now, we're in stage 1 of who I will be taking in. So they're called discovery calls. We get to know each other, see what kind of goals you have lined up, what you may need help with. Give you a little something on those goals. And then if you're a good fit, we will proceed into coaching. And that in its own it's amazing to say that I can provide that for y'all. And one more exciting thing that I totally was gonna tell y'all and forgot. I get to team up affiliately with one of my favorite Catholic shops. I'm not sure if you are familiar with her. She's based in Houston. It's Pax dot, I feel like I'm gonna butcher it, Valerie. And so I get to just show all my goods of what I've gotten from her shop. And I got a discount code, which I will put in my bio if you want to check out that shop. And you get a discount. So I'm really excited for that. And I hope that y'all are able to check her out. So anyways, have a great week.